In this episode I'm joining a trip which Brent organized, and we're tackling the stunningly beautiful but also technical ascent to Genowlan Point, also called Mount Airlie. We have a few adventures along the way, from busted axles to popped off tires. So sit back, relax and enjoy our adventure. In case you are wondering why I drive John's car, he's currently battling with brain cancer and asked me to drive his truck, and he is riding shotgun with me. John is all ready. So am I. In my ascent bunker. For years I used the Austrail stretcher because it is a bit more compact, but it's not that water repellent. The fly is fairly thin, so I now also bought a ascent bunker and we'll see how I go with that. So we collected a truckload of firewood and we arrived at camp. Now we lost it all along the way. It's super bumpy, didn't tie it down, so it's got to be somewhere on that tracks there. Vicky and Steve arrived a bit later, so they had to set up in the dark.
This is some of this is so new. We're still getting the labels and the stickers off.
Yeah, have you camped before?
Yeah.
Yes.
Once.
Okay.
Hang on.
We've only used this once.
But you know the story with this swag when I first used it?
No.
So that's the time. I hadn't driven a four-wheel drive properly.
Yeah.
You consider what I do driving it properly in any case. For decades, right? So what was the first drive I tried? Carnage. So Carnage was on the Saturday, and all I heard all Friday night was how many vehicles get destroyed on it and how it was going to be like a near-death experience and all the rest of it. And by the time Saturday morning came, I was so wound up, I reversed straight over the swag.
Really? Shit, it looks good for that.
This one's all bent.
After all these COVID restrictions, it was so good to sit around a campfire again with good mates. We really enjoyed the evening there. So ready for a Genowlan trick. Brent, Vicky and Steve, and John and myself. Ready to rumble. We'll see in what conditions the trek is. Last I heard it was supposedly not drivable, but we soon will find out. While I drove manual vehicles for the first 15 years of my driving life, I really hadn't done much very technical driving in a manual, so I was keen to see how I would go driving John's Hilux. Having John sitting next to me, I had big boots to fill, and I sure didn't want to bend any panels on his truck. We reached the end of Jurassic Park, and that's where the more interesting ascent towards Genowlan Point starts. So Brent in the lead, John, myself, Vicky and Steve. The first hill consists out of a few loose rocks, and you can get hung up with your diff if you pick a wrong line. But usually if you straddle that, there are not too many issues. Brent in the TJ on 33s shows how it's done. The next section is a bit more technical. On the right hand side was a big rock sticking out, which caused panel damage on quite a few vehicles. But someone must have chiseled off a bit there, because it doesn't stick out as much anymore. The next section definitely has been washed out quite a bit due to the rain. That's a side panel killer, not anymore, but... And while it looks more tricky, I reckon it is actually easier. You have a far right, or what Brent is doing here, a far left for a while and then crossing over. If you pick your line here, that is certainly drivable, and the big diff hanger on the top of this little section is pretty much gone. Brent doesn't want to drop with the rear wheel in that hole to the right and then get caught up by that big rock, but he manages to skip through there easily. Just heard something snap. Was it just a bash plate or something go?
No, popped the bead.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's caught on.
Brent popped the bead off the tire, which is quite easy to do without bead locks. However, that is nothing new for Brent and he quickly sorted that out. Putting a jack under the vehicle and lifting the tire up, then pulling the tire back, making sure that the bead and everything is clean, and then popping the compressor on and putting some air in. In most cases, that will do the job. Scenery-wise, these must be one of the best technical tracks in Australia. It is absolutely stunning in the Garden of Stones here. Here's again a technical section with some big boulders thrown in and some fairly loose gravel in between. So you really have to pick your line. And then you have a few bigger rocks at the end with a bit of an off-camber section which need to be tackled. Nice. I'm scared, Steve.
No, you're going to just kill this.
That's the first time John's truck driving, manual again, and he is watching me.
With those,
I can't fill his shoes.
I reckon you and that truck are a good match. It'll be very interesting to see how this thing runs. Letting get ahead a little bit. Comes the first hard part.
The Hilux has sensational ground clearance and together with the 37-inch tyres made easy work of that section. The Hilux has a very long wheelbase, so it's very stable going up steep rock steps. However, it is also fairly narrow, so on side angles and so on, you definitely feel the angles a bit more than in a wider truck. The Hilux also has leaf springs in the back. That means there is not that much suspension travel, so you definitely lift far more wheels than I, for example, would do in the Jeep.
Jesus.
Next in line was Vicky in the Shorty JK. She needed a few rocks here to just get her panels off that rock sticking out of the sidewall. I would take the right. No, come bit back. See our tire marks? You straddle and then you get over.
And then you go up to the left.
Yep. Just follow our tire marks. Hug the left hand. Okay, right hand down. Sit, keep on going, keep on going. Keep on going. Yes, that's it. Good. Yeah. Nicely done. Next it was Steve's turn in the two-door JK. Ah, he's taking the right. Okay.
And now turn it back on. No, you've missed it. Back up. Yeah, you're right now. And when you come past here, you've got to keep moving.
Where's he going? Where my camera goes? Where my camera stands?
No. The camera's not the road. Cool?
Yeah. Nice. Easy.
It's alright. It's only the second day with the bead locks. She's getting used to it.
The next section past the overhang has a moderate incline and one tree root at the top, which sometimes needs a little bit momentum.
Oop, right up the middle here.
Little bit. Beautiful. This rock shelf has a left and a right hand line. I'm trying the right hand line here, which I managed to drive quite easily. However, it caused quite a bit of problems for some of the other vehicles. The left hand line is the easier line, which then quite a few people opted to do. Driving through this canyon is absolutely stunning. However, it is inclined a little bit to the right, and quite a few people have lost some paint and roof racks by scraping against the walls. So I try to stick as far as possible to my left and hence stay well away from the wall.
Too soon.
Beautiful. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
How many goes did Vicky take? About 16, 17?
One.
Okay, move back. I see that. Move back.
Oh shit, now you're getting serious, yeah?
Getting this on film?
Yes. Is that charged afterwards or? Steve just didn't have enough diff clearance there, so eventually he had to go back and stay out of that rut. Behind us were a few boys and girls from the MacArthur 4-wheel drive club who also camped next to us, and we watched them a little bit tackling the obstacles.
That's easy, just watch this rock in your head. Yeah, you go, keep like that. Yeah. Watch out, mate, do that. Hop, hop. There you go, go.
John?
Fun and games, Stefan.
Fun and games. That's it.
Yeah, just nice and steady. I think it's going to go higher.
Yeah, it's going to go higher. The rear goes up at least another 10.
Kurt, we've tried to, bring the patrol up, but just not doing it, mate.
Leaving the patrol alone there and having a look at the final step here. For the guys in the short wheelbases, this step is even more interesting because with the shorter wheelbase you get much steeper angles. You see here Brent's front driver's side becoming pretty loose. One of the disadvantages of a short wheelbase is that they tip much easier than a longer wheelbase. That was a beautiful drive from Brent, very nice.
Okay.
Next it was my turn in John's Hilux. The long wheelbase is certainly better in regards to stability for big steps like this. However, a disadvantage would be the ramp over angle, because that is usually less with a long wheelbase vehicle. However, the Toyota has an excellent ramp over angle, especially for the long wheelbase. As you can see here, I slipped off the wheel with the rear driver's side, so I go back realigned and give it another go. Here you can see it from a different angle and see how it looks from the front. Vicky has the same auto I have in my Jeep, however she only has default gearing, so I noticed as well before I had the Ruby transfer case that it is very hard to drive controlled with that jumpy auto.
Now just straight as you are and drive it up.
Or too high?
Yeah, just come my way a little bit.
Hold it there, I might just move the slide. Right hand down, right hand down. Yeah, now just keep moving.
What pressure are you on? I'd let another 2-3 psi out because that thing is bouncing. Go on! That's it.
So that's where it's going to be?
Yeah.
So what happened, Steve? Broken axle.
Yeah, what a shame. I didn't even hear it go. We started winching and then it just, the horrible cracking noise. Oh, fucking there you go.
In the rock or what?
Not a left hand thread.
Swings out of the way, doesn't it?
To the rescue.
Oh, these stupid bloody JKs take longer.
I think that was less than an hour.
Straighten up a bit, Vicky. Yep. Not so much, not so much. You probably won't be able to turn it back now. Just keep going. Good. Yeah, you're okay.
I don't know. Oh, the rear, yes, it comes now. It's here to protect the Genowlan P. Because it was found out that actually the goats and I think the kangaroos eat them. From the car park on top of the mountain, it is around a half an hour walk to Genowlan Point. So after a little rest and look around, we made our way back down the mountain.
Nice. Beautiful.
Going back down this big step, especially in a short wheelbase, certainly will get your heart rate up. It feels like you vertically dropping down, and it is important to keep the wheels rolling and not apply hard braking, as otherwise you have a chance of toppling forward.
Keep it rolling, keep it rolling. Straighten up, straighten up. Sorry.
This was unfortunately not a good camera angle, but Steve's driver's side rear wheel was very high in the air. Let it roll. That's it. So tonight, Reddix, my favorite one. Mexican chili with organic beef. Because late night, oh not that late, but yeah, can't be bothered cooking. Actually, I didn't bring anything to cooking because I'm not with my car, so. The next morning we had a reasonably early start because John and myself were planning to head home in the evening after a drive around noons. So watch out for the next episode where we will be driving Pipeline, the Spanish Steps, 9 Mile Steps down to Alibaba's cave. So if you haven't already done so, please like, subscribe and share.